And we start off from Kumasi, where in 4 days it has experienced 4 fire outbreaks. It all started with the Kumasi Central Market on Friday night, where the blaze gutted over 100 shops, resulting in the loss of property worth thousands of cedis. Then 2 separate fire outbreaks at the Asafo Market, destroying several shops, leaving traders broken after losing all their wares in the fire. Well, today, fire has gutted parts of the Calvary Charismatic Center in Kumasi. It took 3 fire engines in 3 hours to bring the situation under control. Kwesi Deborah has more.
Eyewitnesses say the fire, which started around 7:30, began at a small area on the roof of the wooden structure. A worker, Kwabanati Kekuru, decided to control it by going for buckets of water. When I saw the fire, I quickly went for 3 buckets of water and poured on it. Suddenly, it started spreading to every place. We couldn't pick anything. Officials are yet to establish the immediate cause of fire. Officers who wouldn't speak on record believe Atikuru's action is implicated in the spread. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Now, affected traders of the fire that ravaged shops at the Asafo Market in Kumasi are suspecting the activities of a shoemaker as the cause of the fire. They accuse the said gentleman of using naked wires to finish his manufactured shoes, a practice they claim to have warned him about on many occasions to stop. Well, thousands of investments in shops have been lost, including the Asafo post office, all destroyed in the fire. The Asafo Market fire becomes the 2nd fire incident in the Kumasi metropolis during the Easter festivities. Prince Apia has more in this report.
At about 9 p.m. Saturday night, many residents around Asafo saw thick cloud of smoke emanating from the Asafo Market. There was a 2nd fire incident in the Ashanti region barely 24 hours when another fire destroyed shops at the Dr. Mensah part of the Kumasi Central Market. The affected traders have ruled out electrical fault or power as the cause of the fire.
We went back to printing press. Books
The affected shops include a printing press, a bookshop, hair and beauty product shop, shops that sell necklaces, and another that sells rubber. For the shoemakers, some have lost between 1,000 and 1,200 pairs of shoes. One of us had to supply 1,200 pairs of shoes to some people in Burkina Faso. All of them are bent now. All fingers are pointing in the direction of the activities of one of the shoemakers here.
So this point is the finishing point of the shoemaking shops here, and at this point they try and finish the shoes that they've manufactured in this area, and we are told that the person that mans this area used naked wires to fix the machine that is used to do the finishing, and unfortunate for him, when he was using it, it sparked fire, and he left to get people to help him douse the flame, and unfortunately that couldn't be done as early as possible, and it resulted in this particular blaze that had destroyed so many shops here.
The gentleman in question
had been warned many times to stop using the naked wires, but he always fought us. He is the one we are all looking for now. He is nowhere to be found.
The
Asafo post office was also destroyed by the fire. Meanwhile, NADMO, fire service and the police have started investigations. Prince Apia reporting.
Now, let's stay a while longer on this because the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has stopped traders at the Central Market from reconstructing stalls razed down by fire Saturday dawn. 3 days after an inferno swept through the part of the market, traders have begun the reconstruction of these stalls. The traders have defied a directive from the assembly for them to wait for their consent before reconstructing the stalls. KMA Mayor Osei Esibe Entry says a thorough assessment will have to be conducted before determining the way forward. Ms. Osei Esibe spoke to Joy News when the KMA, together with the National Disaster Management Organization, toured affected areas. Nana Aljima has more in the following report.
Traders are reconstructing the new stalls on the foundation raised by last Saturday's fire. This, the NADMO has declared unsafe. Traders say eagerness to return to their trade is reason behind their actions. My brother, we have families who rely on us. They told us to wait, but we can't wait for them. We are working with loans which we have to pay.
1 year,
we have lost everything. We have no money. If we wait for them, we might die. They should do their assessment as soon as possible, so we go back and reconstruct our stores.
Phase 1 and 2
Earlier, the KMA had asked traders to wait for a thorough investigations into the cause of the fire before reconstructing their shops. KMA Mayor Osei Esibe Entry has described actions of the traders illegal.
We want them to stop. First of all, I want to take the report from NADMO and fire before it will inform me about my decision. But what they've done, they don't have the right to do it because on KMA property, without permits, you can't develop. And we have to even inspect your design. We haven't inspected anything, so how do they go ahead and start building? We will not tolerate that.
Aside the Central Market, the Asafo Market was razed down by fire on 2 separate occasions in 2 days. The National Disaster Management Organization has expressed worry about illegal siting of structures in the market. NADMO boss Eric Ajimai Prempeh wants the KMA to enforce its bylaws to deal with market fire.
The olden days, when they built the market, there was a bigger access when you went around with us. There were water hydrants all over, about 3 of them. Fire service got the one, apart from the fact that they were unable to get access into the market. When they got access later on, all the hydrants had been covered with an illegal containers. Therefore, they couldn't get even the hydrant until later on somebody drew their attention that under the illegal containers, there are water hydrants there before they were able to get it. By then, the fire has gotten to some kind of level. So the indiscipline part of it on our side, as citizens, is also bad. How can you use an illegal kiosk to also cover the water hydrants? I mean, look at all this. So we are telling KMA that they have to bite.
Nana Aljima reporting.
And still on fire, the National Disaster and Management Organization, NADMO, has directed that the Asafo Market be demolished and reconstructed. The call by the Director General, Eric Nana Ajiman Prempeh, comes after 2 fire incidents occurred in a matter of 2 days at the market, destroying investments worth thousands of Ghana cedis. He revealed this after NADMO officials, together with the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly officials, toured both the Asafo and Kumasi Central Market, which have experienced 3 separate fire outbreaks between Friday and Monday. Love FM's Prince Apia has more.
3 different incidents of fire outbreaks have occurred in Kumasi between Friday and Monday. As a result of continuous destruction of these markets, city authorities and NADMO officials have been touring the affected areas in Kumasi. Director General of NADMO, Eric Nana Ajiman Prempeh, says the Asafo Market must be reconstructed.
We've done the search and rescue part of it. We are in the process of the assessment. But I've been around. My technical people have been around. The mayor and his team has been around. What I can say is that the market needs to be reconstructed by whatever means, and it should be immediate. Looking at what is happening, if you are not careful, we're going to experience what happened in Kwame Nkrumah Circle, the twin disaster of fire and water together here in Asafo. Because if you look at the drains, the records are there that at any time there's rain, the place gets flooded, very heavy. And then with this water that is happening, that's exactly what happened at Kwame Nkrumah Circle. And we don't want that to repeat itself in any part of this country. So I am in consultation with the Accra Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. We're going to talk to Ministry of Works and Housing as part of the special program Works and Housing Ministry is doing in expanding the drains in the country so that it can accommodate the flooding waters. They should extend it to this part of Kumasi, that is the Asafo market area. And then I'm going to talk to Ministry of Local Government also, so that together with the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, we look at how best this market will be reconstructed. Because if you look at the whole place, there are no access. At the same time,
the demolition of the Asafo market will be done by both NADMO and KMA. Kumasi Mayor Osei Sibiantwi again.
No witness. The first thing that needs to be done is the clearing of all the debris. And immediately after the clearing of the debris, one thing that needs to be urgently done is the drainage, which the Minister for Works and Housing has really promised of helping us to get it done. So that is going to be the first assignment that is going to be done, because currently there are a lot of drainage works ongoing, and he said they are going to add this one up to the emergency ones. So once that one is done, and after the real audit of the fire by NADMO and the submission of their report, then the assembly can then come in and adopt the possible means of reconstructing the market. And no, it doesn't need a professional man to tell you that now, looking at the extent of the damage, there is no way apart from reconstructing the market. So by supporting KMA and the local government also coming on board, as well as the Minister for Works and Housing also coming on board, we hope within the shortest time we will reconstruct the market for the traders.
Meanwhile, officials have advised the public to avoid putting up stores in unauthorized places that prevent the fire service personnel from being able to put off the fire early enough. Prince Apia reporting.
Now, in Ghana, fire incidents have become a regular occurrence, with thousands of lives and millions of dollars lost every year. While government has come under heavy criticism for not showing good faith to Ghanaians as far as public safety and market fires are concerned. The Bureau of Public Safety is unhappy several reports on market fires throughout the years have not been published. Executive Director Nana Akwada joins us via Skype for some discussion on this matter. Hello, good evening to you, and thank you for joining us on Joy News Prime. Let's begin from where officials are suggesting that this may be arson. What is your own reading of the situation? Because, I mean, in 4 days, we've had fire outbreaks back to back within 72 hours. I believe we're having some technical issues with Nanaya Akwada's line, but Nanaya Akwada is Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety. Yes, indeed. I think that we have managed to rectify the sound. Nanaya, so I was asking you what your reading of the situation is. 4 fires in 4 days. Is it a coincidence, or is it arson as the officials are suggesting?
Well, let me say good evening to your viewers. And let me also say that this is not the first time that such fires have been attributed to actions of individuals, ostensibly, let me just call it arson. We saw that years back, I think 2013, where we even flew in FBI experts to come and assist us, investigate such issues. Today, if we are going back into a case of arson, it's important that we find out at the time that we brought in that we spend the taxpayers' money to fly in FBI experts. What did they find? What were their recommendations? Have those recommendations been implemented? If they have not been implemented, then we need to find out who is sitting in his office and getting paid for not implementing or securing the public safety. That's key. That said, I think the incidents of fire occurring and recurring over time are things that we should brace for, because it does not appear to us from where we sit at the Bureau that the state is willing to step in to secure public space in terms of, specific respect to market fires, because we have seen just so many, and there's been so many investigation reports that have been tabled or have been submitted to the state, and still we do not have any, report published. It's high time that the state publishes the report so we all get to see what were the causes and what actions are supposed to be taken by all stakeholders.
So your position is that the government should be blamed, and the blame should be squarely put on the shoulders of government because they have failed to publish the reports over the subsequent years. Over the successive years, that we've had fire outbreaks.
Absolutely, and I think it would be charitable just to say the government should be blamed. What we can say is that the government has not shown genuine interest in public safety with respect to market fires, and that is evidence for all of us to see. Otherwise, what is the sense in commissioning an investigation and then keeping the reports, not one, not two, not three, but several investigation reports that are still lying in the bosom of the government? If you ask me what do we think is the cause of these fires, I'll ask you to go and ask Mr. Government, because he has the report. He knows what are the causes of these market fires, simply refuse to act.
Why are you so convinced that we need to see these reports? What difference will it make going forward?
Well, then we need to understand why we commit so much resources for accident investigations. The point is, when the things happen, we do not want people guessing, people throwing in intelligent guesses. We want to know the actual factors that triggered the accidents. And those actual factors, we paid people, we paid professionals to sit over several days to call people, interview people for several days, scan the scene of the fire for several days. So they have the facts. They know what is wrong with our markets. They know whether it's attitudinal, it's structural, whatever, they know. And they have put these things in document, in the report for the government. So it's for the government to, like the accounts you see, so that all of us will read what is wrong. Then we know who has to do what and who is not doing what. Until that is done, we can only guess and say, well, market women are cooking, they are frying. But those are only guesses. Here we are said the state is suspecting arson. So they've rounded up some number of persons. So tomorrow we go to bed and that's it. It's time for them to release those reports. The whole world over, it's public document. I don't know why in Ghana alone we are going back since 2012.
Now, speaking of solutions and going forward, we just showed a video of NADMO officials giving orders for the demolition and reconstruction of the Asafo market. Essentially, they want the market rebuilt. In your opinion, is that the way to go?
Well, absolutely. If the market is raised down, they just have to rebuild it. But that is what we have seen in times past. Just the state just throwing money at our problems. If it's road crashes, we fly money in there. The next day, nobody talks. If it's fires, we fly money in there, rebuild, and then they go back to do the same things there, and the fire raises it down. Tell me, how many of the markets that have been burnt have not been rebuilt? Some of them have been rebuilt. They are still burning. and we are still rebuilding. That is an absolutely useless way of putting the taxpayers' money to use. It's a very, very inhumane way to conduct issues of or manage issues of public safety. And we at the Bureau, we are frustrated. We just don't understand what informs how policymakers are thinking. Because since 2012, we've had several reports. We've been calling for these reports to be made public since time, and nothing is happening. Only we are happy to say, do not go in, we'll rebuild. When we rebuild, you go. So we don't know at what standards they are even rebuilding to, because no investigations has been done. We don't know what they are going to put in place different from what existed previously. That is an absolutely useless way to commit the taxpayers' money.
All right. Thank you. We'll leave it here. Thank you so much. That's the Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety, Nana Yao Akwada, there joining us live. You're still watching Joy News Prime with me, Araba Kumzan. Still to come, Education Ministry reveals all boarding schools in the country would, beginning next academic year, be required to take 10% day students to allow BC candidates who live in their catchment areas take advantage of their facilities.
Those running purely boarding, we are giving them 10% as day, and therefore it will help all, especially the people in the Cape Coast municipality who live close to the category A schools, B schools.
And Vice President describes claims by former President John Mahama that the nationwide rollout of the free senior high school program is under pressure and facing challenges as untenable.
When we didn't have free SHS under your government, you couldn't pay teacher training allowance. You couldn't pay nursing training allowance.
And in business, Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines and Energy praises GNPC Foundation for ensuring value for money on social intervention projects. Details after this break. Welcome back. Now, beginning next academic year, all boarding schools in the country would be required to take 10% of day students to allow BC candidates who live in their catchment areas take advantage of their facilities. That is one of the ways the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service are seeking to increase access to such schools and ensure equity. Meanwhile, officials of the ministry are urging parents to take keen interest in the selection of schools by their wards to minimize challenges when their children are finally placed. Richard Kwejunyako has more in the following report.
The team has been touring the Central Region, visiting schools, churches and embarking on campaigns on several media platforms, sensitizing parents and students. Central Regional Coordinator of the Free SHS program, Keteche Kwame Opoku Ajaman, explains all purely of 4 boarding schools would have to take 10% day students. That he says the ministry arrived at to ensure that grade A schools are accessed by people who live very close to it.
We have something we call day boarding ratio. So, for example, if you have 100 population, let's say we want to admit 100 students, then we can say your boarding should be 70 students, whilst your day students should be 30. So in that case, your day boarding ratio is 70-30. So in all the schools, before, as my colleague just said, there were schools that were running purely boarding. And as such, if they had to take 100 students, all of them would be boarders. This time around, it's not going to be like that. We are giving preference to people who live close to the schools and want to access those schools as day students. And therefore, for those running purely boarding, we are giving them 10% as day. And therefore, it will help all, especially the people in the Cape Coast municipality who live close to the category A schools, B schools, to take advantage.
The team also want parents to take keen interest in the school selection of their children by first checking the strengths and weaknesses of their children before choosing a school for them. They want minimal hiccups when children are finally placed by the computerized selection placement system.
What you normally hear is that a parent will come to your office and say, they have given me school without my consent, etc., etc. The headmaster or the head teacher hates my child, and therefore they just choose any school for the child without my knowledge. This time around, we don't want to hear those stories. So we are inviting the public, we are engaging the public, and we are sensitizing the public to understand that you have to get involved in the choice of the schools of your child. And therefore, we are saying that each school or each student has 5 schools that you should choose in order of what preference. But that 5 schools that you are choosing, it should include a compulsory one that you can go as a day student. The school could be day boarding, because we have 2 categories, day boarding school or purely day schools. Whichever be the case, wherever you live, the catchment area 10 miles or 16-kilometer radius, you must choose one.
This year, the system has been upgraded to allow the intake of foreign students to access our school system. From Cape Coast, my name is Richard Kwejunyakon for Joy News.
And still in education, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has described claims by former President John Dramani Mahama that the nationwide rollout of the free senior high school program is under pressure and facing challenges as untenable and not supported by facts. Dr. Bawumia noted that even without the free SHS, the Mahama government cancelled teacher and nursing training allowances and rather introduced austerity measures making life difficult for Ghanaians. Delivering a lecture at the University of Cape Coast early this month, the former president said the policy was rushed and that it is why we are encountering all these problems with the free SHS. But speaking at a rally on Saturday organized by the youth wing of the governing MPP at Obo-Kwewu in the Eastern region as part of activities marking this year's Easter festivities, the vice president noted that the Akufo-Addo-led administration will follow through with all its policies to bring relief to Ghanaians.
That we are spending too much on free SHS, so we won't have money to do other things. Did you hear that? You who said free SHS was not possible. When we didn't have free SHS under your government, you couldn't pay teacher training allowance. You couldn't pay nursing training allowance. You couldn't have NAP. You couldn't pay your NHIS. I am from the north. I benefited from free SHS. And I think it is good for the people of the north, and it is good for the people of all of Ghana. It is good for the free SHS to be enjoyed by everybody. There should be no room for hypocrisy on this matter. Ladies and gentlemen, these are just a few. I have just listed about 40 of the things that we have done to reduce the suffering of Ghanaians. We have not yet finished. There is more to be done. But we don't want to listen to those who tell us free SHS is not good, teacher training allowance is not good, nursing training allowance is not good, NAPCO is not good. No, we are going to follow the vision of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Now, the National Chief Imam has been defending his decision to join Christians in church on Easter Sunday and cautioned against any waging war on innocent people in the name of religion. Sheikh Osman Shaributu says there is nothing wrong for Muslims to show love and kindness to their Christian counterparts. There have been some criticisms by some Muslims who argue that the Chief Imam's visit to the church will send a wrong signal to ignorant Muslims to seek for spiritual help from the church. But the Chief Imam says there's nothing wrong with that. He argues that acrimony, violence and killing of innocent souls in the name of Islam has no place in Allah's religion of Islam. Here is an exclusive interview he granted my colleague Latif Idris.
The National Chief Imam Sheikh Osman Nuhu Shaributu is 100 years on Tuesday, 23rd April 2019. As part of the celebration, he visited the Christ the King Church in Accra, a symbolic visit to interact with the Christian community in Ghana. That gesture has, however, generated some controversy on social media. Others argued that the move encourages Muslims to visit churches for spiritual help. In an interview with Joy News, however, the National Chief Imam said God has not forbidden Muslims from visiting and living in peace with people of other faiths.
Allah ce la yanhaakumullahu anil ladhina lam yuqatilukum din wanda ba su addinin ku Allah bai hana ku anil ladhina an tabaru.
God has not forbidden you to live in peace with innocent people of other faiths. And Allah says in His holy book that all of mankind are from Adam and Eve, and He did not create us to fight among ourselves. He created us equal to interact among ourselves and do business. And so there is no justification for any Muslim to attack a non-believer who has not provoked him in any way whatsoever. Revealing for the first time, the Chief Imam told Joy News he didn't lobby for the position of National Imam, adding his father even advised him not to take up the role. Did you see yourself becoming the National Chief Imam of the Republic?
Na tashi ne ina karantarwa mun gwada karatu har 12 dare ina karantarwa abinda na gada ke na wurin babana karantarwa ba limanci ba limanci ban bukatar shi ban bukaci limanci ba domin da ya hana ni gwada karatu.
Talk about the imamship. I must say today, right now, that I did not want to be an imam, simply because growing up, all I wanted to do was to teach, like my father did. And I felt that taking up the imamship would somewhat hinder my work, so I didn't want to be an imam. In fact, my father also advised me not to take up imamship for the same reason. But, you know, once Allah has ordained, there was nothing I could have done when I was chosen to lead the Muslim community in Ghana. He also shared some fond memories of acting on stage when he was young.
Makarantar babana aka fara tanhol lokacin da aka yi tanhol farko ne muka je muka fara tanhol ana yi da larabci.
The National Chief Imam Sheikh Osman Shaributu speaking there exclusively to my colleague Latif Idris. Now, the family of the military couple who drowned in floodwaters on 14th April say they want government to assume responsibility for their child's welfare. The two died when a vehicle they were traveling in drove through the floodwaters at Ajekojo. At the commemoration of 1 week of their passing today, families of W.O. Jabez Arthur and W.O. Sarah Kwaji say they will need government's help in taking care of their 12-year-old son, Bill Clinton Nana Arthur. Hano Dame joined them for Joy News.
Sorrow at the loss of a sister and a brother, a father and a mother. These family members and loved ones trooped to the funeral grounds to mourn the death of W.O.2 Jabez Arthur and W.O.2 Sarah Kwaji. They died a week ago at Ajekojo when their vehicle in which they were traveling in drowned in floodwaters. Those gathered here today still can't believe that the two will not be seen ever again. The family of this couple say they are devastated.
For me, when I saw them lying down, I didn't believe it. I just felt like they were asleep. But as each day passes by, then I really felt the pain.
They are still not believing that my sister and her husband are gone. So some of us are still in the denial. Now that we are seeing people gathering and it is now hitting us. We are not feeling it. Beginning is like a dream. Now we are waking up and the pain is now hitting us.
The military couple left behind a 12-year-old son, Bill Clinton Nana Arthur. He believes the courage his parents imbibed in him will spur him on.
My mom, especially my mom, taught me how to stand in front of people, especially in church, to preach, to talk, poems, yes, in church, yeah. Sure, she used to take me to church all the time, yeah. And then my father taught me how to speak in front of men. Yeah, he used to teach me how to speak in front of men, yeah.
Their family has one request. They are asking government to assist them take care of Bill Clinton Nana Arthur.
When
I look at the fact that the couple's son will be left so sad, it brings me to tears. The only thing I'm asking is that government supports me and the family to take care of this boy. They have told us they will allow us to stay here until he completes junior high school. But we need assistance to enable him complete school. Please help us, government.
May their soul rest in peace.
From Bema Camp, my name is Hannah Odame for Joy News.